I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to put myself to the side. I'm going to do what's best for this kid, as in showing accountability. So I'm going to allow this child to be put in the best situation, which is with his father.
Okay, but you showing accountability is something that's already previously happened. You can't be accountable for future.
Yes, you can.
Well, you could be responsible for what's going to happen in the future, but you got to be made accountable for what's already occurred. There's a slight difference.
Well, every time something happening, you got to take responsibility. You still got to somebody still got to be held accountable.
It's a thin line, but accountability is usually directed for what's already occurred, and the other one, what we was talking about, is for responsibility is for the future. You can be responsible for the present and going forward, but to be accountable, something already has had to have happened.
You can also be responsible for things that happened in the past.
No.
Yeah, that's true. That one I think is a bit fluid. That can move past, present, and future. Whereas I'm not sure. Maybe it can. I'm not sure. I just thought accountability was like my bad. That already happened. Like my bad. Like that.
No, that's
you want to know what the problem.
The definition.
You want to know what the problem with your question is, Bruiser? Is that's under the assumption that the breakup and the subsequent becoming primary custody wasn't by choice. Because it's a choice, because they elect to do these things, they would never be like, oh well, yeah, I'm going to take accountability, because they don't need to take accountability because it was an act of choice.
Well, wouldn't they be able to take accountability? Wouldn't they be able to take accountability for the destruction or the demise that the kids got to go through?
No, they won't. They're going to blame you.
So basically, you agree that, well, if most women are opting and electing to be custodial parents, they are blatantly denying accountability.
Possibly. I feel like some women might be, not holding themselves accountable for maybe their breakup and their child's future, like you said. So but you got to move forward. Like, yes, it happened. Yes, I did this. Yes, it didn't work. Now we're here. I told you what happened, and now the consequence is my child. We're co-parenting now. We don't live in the same household. We live in a separate household, and the kid is missing their dad. Those are the things you're going to see constantly arising. But you are going to have to move forward in the best way possible. Can't just dwell.
Here's the thing. Here's the difference. Just to speak on that particular situation alone, women don't suffer natural accountability when it comes to that. For a man, we suffer a natural accountability. We lose access to our kids. We lose the relationship. We lose access to the home we were in, to our family. But on the other hand, when women tend to break up the relationship, they understand, like, I'm going to have the kid. I'm going to get the kid. I'm going to have access to my kid, so they don't have to apologize to their kid for the father being gone, because they don't really care, because they pick and choose when they want him to be there or not anyway. So what happens is the natural accountability in that situation that Bruiser is talking about, right, would be if the family breaks down, you break up with them, right? And your son says, and you have to go to your son and say, hey, look, me and your dad ain't working out, but I know the best way, and the best way that you're going to survive is if you go with him. That will be your natural consequences, is that your son has to now be apart from you and go live with his father, because you can't raise him the way he needs to be raised, because he needs a father. Just like our natural accountability is that we lose access to our kids. Y'all don't have that natural accountability. So when y'all break up in these relationships, y'all don't, which most of them, and because of the woman, regardless of the reason, y'all understand, like, there's nothing for y'all to take accountability for, because it's an act of choice.
Can I ask a question for clarification, please?
Go ahead.
She said, please.
I just want some clarification on the scenario being discussed here on at what point do both parents hold themselves accountable to the child and express their accountabilities to that child effectively enough so that that child is able to make their own, at least age-appropriate, concrete, and coherent decision on the situation, to be able to make those kind of long-term lasting decisions, like which parent to live with?
I don't
Who
think.
has custody most of the time?
Pardon?
Who has custody most of the time?
I believe statistically it's the mother.
Yeah. So there's no accountability. There's no need to put a date on it. As long as that keeps happening, we don't need to talk
And
about
then
accountability.
also to add to that, what do you need to explain to your kid? Y'all are splitting up. You don't have to explain to your kid why y'all broke up. The only thing you need to do is figure out
Well,
what's
wouldn't
best.
that be accountability?
No, because a kid's supposed to be in the kid's place. They're not supposed to know the ins and outs of your relationship or why mom and dad broke up. The only thing they know is mom and dad.
But that's the question that she's asking essentially. Like, at what point are they old enough where you have to, like, okay, so for example, let's say your relationship with your kid's mother is messed up because you cheated. Wouldn't holding yourself accountable be sitting down with your son and saying, hey, son, the real reason why our family's fucked up right now is because I cheated on your mom. And this is why you shouldn't cheat, because this is what's going to happen to your family too. At some point, I think that is also accountability to the child, because you're letting the child know that, hey, I fucked up. This is the mistake. I'm holding myself responsible. And you also now know that I'm responsible. So you can go through your life knowing what actually happened and who to hold accountable.
Now that
absolutely, I agree.
I would say that's a different type of scenario. And I think that when a kid, I agree with you that when your kid is old enough, I think the age of understanding will probably be around 15, 16 when they actually understand, because they do it. They dealing with people themselves. But if your kid only 8, 9, 10 years old, they have no idea what mom or dad cheating on one another actually is.
But that's why we have to be, that's why I always say that we have to expand our vocabulary, because just because you don't know how to say something to someone doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be said to them. So you have to take accountability for not knowing how to express exactly what's going on. I always say all the time that you have to use age appropriate vocabulary for children so that when they're 13 or 14 or 15, they don't feel like they're being railroaded. And then their whole world flips upside down and they're in school depressed and, thinking that it's their fault that things happen. We as adults have to say, okay, how do I break this down in the simplest terms so that we can revisit it later for the child, and they'll know what they'll have, like a clip, something to hold on to for that next stage of communication when it's time to upgrade that verbiage with them.
I think you can explain to a kid that it's your fault that the relationship has broken down without having to explicitly tell them, yeah, I was out there fucking other women. That's why man, daddy ain't working out. Me and your mama ain't working out. Like, I don't think that's necessary. I think you could say, hey, look, son, you know what I mean? I'm the reason why everything, you don't have to blame it. You don't have to blame yourself.
Let's bring it back into
that's
the
what
realm
she's saying.
of,
you can use age appropriate verbiage.
Yeah, I was about to say,
like, hey, son, daddy messed up with mommy. Daddy wasn't so nice to mommy. Daddy can work on being better. Whatever.
Let me get my
daddy broke promises. You can put things in a certain verbiage that they can understand at their level, so that they can